Senator Richard Hargrove built a political fortress on traditional Texas values, positioning himself as the leading candidate for governor. Behind this public image, he served as the architect for a drug money laundering empire that stretched from Mexico to the East Coast, using his office to mask a criminal network as a legitimate enterprise. For decades, Hargrove remained immune to prosecution. He ended the career of DEA agent Carlos Vega by planting evidence before a case could be filed. And when a Houston detective named Ray Morales began investigating his university district operations, the detective was found in a bayou with a single execution-style bullet in his head. The first genuine breach in his security came from a journalism student at UT Austin. Using a dorm room laptop and public records, Ashley Calloway spent 6 months mapping Hargrove's financial connections for an investigative project she titled Project Stonewall. As Ashley prepared to publish her findings, a black Suburban without plates executed a staged hit-and-run in the university district. The driver never stopped, leaving no forensic trail and no witnesses, successfully neutralizing the investigation before it could reach a newsroom. When the person who controls the police and writes the laws is the one ordering the murders, the traditional justice system becomes a closed loop. There is no desk you can go to report a crime that the state itself is protecting. This left James Calloway in an impossible situation. He was a father grieving a murdered daughter, while simultaneously being blackmailed as a money launderer for her killer, having been forced to process Hargrove's drug proceeds through his construction company to save his business from bankruptcy years earlier. A direct legal challenge would be crushed by Hargrove's influence over the courts. To bypass his protection, the Calloways had to exploit the internal friction of his operation, combining Ethan's digital access and Carlos's tactical knowledge with the financial records James held. This formed a strategy designed to force a confrontation where Hargrove's political immunity wouldn't matter, a simultaneous strike on his communications, his cash, and his ego. The team tasked with executing this plan operated entirely outside official channels. Ethan, a cybersecurity expert, Carlos, a disgraced ex-DEA agent, Sophia Chen, a national journalist, and James, the insider who knew exactly where the money was buried. Phase 1 required a live map of the senator's orders. This meant finding a way into a communication network that Hargrove believed was fully encrypted and impenetrable. Look at this visualization of the senator's inner circle. While primary encryption was current, Ethan identified a vulnerability, a manager's device running outdated firmware. Ethan deployed a passive listener, secretly duplicating every encrypted packet and routing them to an external server. These intercepted messages confirmed the hierarchy of the syndicate, but digital logs are rarely enough to convict a sitting politician. To make the charges stick, the team needed a physical trail that linked the drug money to the senator's personal influence. Phase 2 involved Carlos Vega and a contact inside the DEA, privately verifying the money flows identified in the texts. They began a deep dive into the banking records to turn abstract messages into a legally admissible paper trail. This flowchart tracks how the operation disguised its proceeds. Cartel cash was moved through a series of corporate filters, eventually appearing in bank accounts as consulting fees for legitimate businesses. Look at the scale of these developments in Houston. James Calloway's construction firm was the primary front for this operation, using drug money to fund massive real estate projects and hiding the illicit capital within the literal foundation of the city skyline. Even with this evidence, financial forensics only target the accountants. To link Senator Hargrove to a murder, the team needed more than a ledger. They needed a confession. The final phase required James to meet Hargrove face-to-face in his private office, wearing a hidden microcamera and microphone to extract a direct statement on the night of the arrest. Hours before the sting, Hargrove's enforcers kidnapped James's wife, Maggie, and held her at a cartel-controlled warehouse. The threat was clear. If James didn't call off the meeting, his wife would be killed. The team was forced to split their resources. While James entered the high-rise meeting alone, Carlos and Ethan executed a rapid, non-lethal tactical breach of the Galleria warehouse, securing Maggie before Hargrove's men could react. In the 32nd floor office, James performed a psychological bluff. He explicitly claimed he wasn't wearing a wire and wasn't recording, playing on Hargrove's arrogance to lower his defenses. Believing he was completely safe, Hargrove's ego took over. He openly justified the order to kill Ashley Calloway, describing her as a necessary sacrifice for the stability of their operation, an admission captured live on the team's hidden audio feed. Hargrove's security failed because of a specific psychological blind spot. He operated under the assumption that he held absolute control over the flow of information, never suspecting that his own words were being broadcast live to the very system he thought he owned. Federal agents breached the office the moment Hargrove finished his statement. At the same time, Sophia Chen published the investigation on the Washington Post's front page, making the evidence public before the senator's allies could attempt to cover up. The senator received 55 years without the possibility of parole. The resulting federal investigation used the team's digital and financial maps to dismantle the network entirely, leading to the arrest of 19 high-ranking associates and state officials. James Calloway voluntarily disclosed his role in the laundering as part of a plea deal. He is currently serving 18 months in a federal facility, a sentence he accepted as the cost for his years of complicity in Hargrove's system. Decades of systemic corruption collapsed once the evidence was made public and irrevocable. Without the ability to suppress the narrative, Hargrove's political allies distanced themselves, his enforcers were isolated, and the legal system finally had the leverage needed to systematically dismantle his entire operation. Ashley Calloway's Project Stonewall began with a simple philosophy: that truth is a liberating force, even if its initial discovery is inherently disruptive. Cybersecurity, financial tracking, and federal stings were the tools used to finish this takedown, but the catalyst was a single student who refused to look away from the facts. In the fight against systemic corruption, documented truth remains the most effective weapon available.